This is Trucks and Tractor Power, featuring the best in MTRA monster truck racing. It is a hot and humid night here in the Ozarks as we prepare for round 4 of the PENDA Points Championship. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Lee. Tonight, we're in Springfield, Missouri at the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds. And the question on everybody's mind is, can anybody beat the Big Blue Ford? Bigfoot and Dan Runte have been unstoppable this season. However, in the last outing, Fred SHAFER finished second. So now is the time for that big red Dodge to break through the victory lane. Here's Army Armstrong.
Gary, you're exactly right. That Big Blue Ford over there has a winning streak going, but before the night's over, if Barefoot and his crew got anything to say about it, they're going to have that Blue Ford seeing red, Dodge red, because SHAFER and his crew have literally been thrashing all day long. They say they're making more horsepower than they ever have. They feel like that second-place finish has given them momentum. They turned the corner on performance, and they know they have the capabilities of beating that Big Blue Ford. The big question is, can they do it tonight? SHAFER assured me this truck will go quicker than 5 flat before this event's over. Let's see if he can live up to his words.
Well, one guy who had it in the 4s in qualifying was Eric MEAGHER in the bright yellow HULKSTER, a Ford-powered truck. Once again, that was back in qualifying, your fast qualifier at 496. And in round 1, Fred SHAFER taking on Dan Patrick and Sampson. Fred did, in fact, put that big red Dodge in the 4s with this run at 4.88. So perhaps Fred will be the guy to beat later this evening. Also tonight, we'll have a crush cam. Here's our crush cam operator installing it before the race to provide great shots like this one. Always looking for new places to put cameras. Well, first race in round 2 features Fred SHAFER in the left lane, the lane away from the camera. Now, he'll be taking on Pam Botters in the lane nearest the camera in the right lane. And Army took a look at the race course.
Earlier this afternoon, a torrential rainstorm came through Springfield, Missouri. Now, Springfield has always been known as a track that has a good lane and a bad lane. Well, that has always been determined in the past by the area on the other side of the first jump, the starting line. That will not be the case this year. The near lane, they've had to go and actually cut, as you can see them now, about 6 inches of topsoil off of this lane in order to get a mud hole that had developed from that rainstorm. Now, I want you to keep in mind, the far lane is on grass. The near lane is going to be on dirt. We're racing at night. What's the slickest thing in the world? Wet grass. What I'm saying is, the good lane this year could indeed be the lane that looks bad now. It'll be the best before the night's over. Keep an eye on the right lane.
Well, we'll see how it shakes out as Pam Botters will be in that right lane, nearest the camera. Botters in the boogie van, far lane, Fred SHAFER in Barefoot. The Ford against the big Dodge.
Not going to do it. Dodge will take the win out of the grassy lane, if you will. Back in the 4s, a 495. So they have indeed turned the performance corner of the 5-second barrier as we get a head-on shot of what it looks like.
Well, as Pam Botters goes up and over, it was all Fred SHAFER, so well, he could be the guy to beat this evening. Let's go down and get his comments pit side.
Well, Fred, that's one round down. Does the truck seem to be where you want it to be?
After this afternoon, Army, it seems like it's working real good. We'd like to thank Dodge for that new Dodge Ram. 488, 495, good competitive time.
Fred seems to be happy. Can he pull it off here in Springfield? We'll find out as we come back with more on Trucks and Tractor Power. Welcome back to the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds in Springfield, Missouri. Some of the track preparation that goes on before and during a monster truck event.
I don't know if that'd be track preparation or crush cam preparation. Sampson comes out going against Bigfoot. Ford against Chevy. Privateer, Dan Patrick right here. Used to work for the Bigfoot camp. He's out by himself now out of Ohio, out of the Buckeye State, going up against a kid that literally was that when he started to work for Bigfoot. Dan was over there as the mentor. This guy comes over just as a new kid on the block. Now he's stepped up in the driver's seat. That would be Dan Runte.
And, of course, Dan Patrick built many of these monster truck frames. He knows this sport from the ground up.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gary, believe the kid takes the win, so he beat his mentor in that round of 491, and it didn't look like he was really running the truck that hard.
Looks like the track is getting faster as well. We're seeing more runs in that 4-second category.
Here's another truck that potentially could do it. The Executioner, the Hall brother team, they have definitely turned the performance corner. Mark doing the driving, Tim turning the wrenches. They could be players, Gary.
Well, speaking of the player, it would still appear that Dan Runte is the guy to beat. He is unbeaten so far this season. He remains supreme in this competition. Here's Dan.
Well, another lap down. These guys are still trying to figure some way to beat you.
Yeah, the Ford Bigfoot's running good. We're changing a lot of things round by round, just adjusting for the track. This track's a lot different than it was the last race here. Got a good crew. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens. We're picking up time every round. We're just going to go on with it.
In every form of competition, you hear about the drivers, the teams chasing the track. It is no different in monster truck competition. These guys are chasing this track this evening.
And the Ford takes the win out of the far lane. The Hulkster with another sub-5 second, 494. And it's like you said, they've not only chased the track, I think they've reeled it in. The Hall brothers, a good run, but not going to be a player. The replay comes up on the screen. The starting line shows the win here. Now the far lane settles down. See all four wheels on the ground? He's on the throttle picking up that 490-plus run.
So Eric Meagher in the Ford takes the victory. He has to be happy as he advances.
Big question, can you or anybody else beat this blue truck tonight? You got the quick qualifying time. You know you can turn the number, but can you get past him?
Yeah, our truck's running real good. We had a good qualifying pass. We felt like we were a couple tenths ahead of everybody. The blue truck was strong, but we came out a little faster. Hopefully, if we get in the final round, we'll be a little faster than the blue truck tonight.
We are ready now for the final pair of round 2, and there's a look at Kirk Dabney and Overkill.
Dabney, during the off-season, if there is such a thing, is a pro street builder. Builds a lot of these hot rods you see around the country, and he builds them for guys all over the country. He's out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois, Todd Froelich comes out with the Hemi Dodge Rampage. A mean old truck. Back in black in that big Hemi. A tough combination.
Overkill had the whole shot, but he was DQ'd out of bounds. Todd takes the victory.
14, a 5-14. Not the number he was looking for, but it gets him through this round.
Watch the left lane. The whole shot right there.
Yeah, the privateer in the Ford camp out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, was reading a ride act to him until the second jump came along.
But Todd kept it straight, takes out the victory, and continues on in competition.
When something like that happens, does it break your concentration? Do you have to come back and get in your own zone before you go to the line again?
Oh, I try to stay in my own zone, Army. I'm fairly new at it, and Fred gives me this brand new Dodge Ram to drive. I think the truck can do it if I can just stay, like you said, in the zone.
Well, he has a good set of wheels under him, indeed, if he can hang on. Hey, speaking of hanging on, look out. Come back and forth. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds here in Springfield. Gary Lee along with Army Armstrong. We are ready to show you some highlights of our tough truck competition. And a crowd favorite is Shane Ballard.
Now, Shane Ballard is the guy that took this real big jump the other night. The finish line officials have decided we're going to change the track a little bit. We're going to have a big jump on the end and a small jump on the end to let the drivers take a choice. And Ballard is literally beating his truck to pieces. The left front fender comes off. Pieces are falling off all the way around, but he's still on the gas, Gary.
Once again, the small jump at the end, not quite the crowd pleaser as the big one.
That's the baby jump. They don't like that, but he does get his fender back. Well, even the street trucks get a shot at this in the tough truck competition, and the loopy-loos seem to be the tough part of the course for a lot of these guys to get through. Oh, man, that's going to tear your suspension up, Gary.
Well, here's Steve Huffman in the roaring ragtop.
Short wheelbase Ford Bronco should get around the course real good. Oh, tag, you're in.
I think he just kicked the can.
I used to play that game when I was a kid. Now, speaking of kicking a can, I want you to watch this guy. He left impressions of himself all over this track, literally.
This is like a one-man demolition derby. Now, first he's going to lose the tailgate.
There it goes.
The tailgate.
Okay. Now keep an eye on the muffler out here.
Yeah,
See the muffler tailpipe starting to fall off. Crowd's getting into it. They're egging him on. Final jump. And there goes the tailpipe. Da-da-da-da-da-da. What can you say? You know, in the Baseball Hall of Fame, they put your picture up. In Springfield, in the Tough Truck Hall of Fame, they mount your tailgate on the wall.
Todd Frolic and Eric Meagher up next as we get to the semis. There's a look at the Rampage Dodge and the big yellow HULKSTER Ford. And all that fiberglass is a Ford.
If you're dealing with the team concept, what you're looking at is the number 2 truck in the Bigfoot team right there and the number 2 truck in the Dodge team. This is a corporate battle. Don't think for a minute. These guys don't even like each other. I'll be real honest with you. They just want to beat each other. And Detroit is watching this race as close as you and I are right now.
Once again, as they stage, Dodge and Ford.
Whoa, I couldn't see from my angle, Gary, who won it.
Eric Meagher, the fast qualifier, and he prevails here at a 494, but only by inches. Watch again how close it is at the finish.
You got to remember, the margin of victory is always one. In this case, it was one fender, Gary.
Well, you can see how close it was right there, but Eric Meagher will go on to the championship round here in Springfield. Let's go visit with Eric.
Well, he just put Rampage away. That's got to make you feel good. That Dodge is a bad hombre.
It is. The Rampage has been running real well. The Dodge boys are always right there. But this big blue oval bunch here, we're doing our homework. The lanes seem like they're loosening up a little bit, and the times are showing that, but we got to keep ahead of everybody else.
Well, he's exactly right. You got to keep chasing the track, as you said before, Gary.
Well, once again, it's Ford against Dodge. We saw one set of teammates. Here are the other teammates on the Dodge team and the Ford team.
Remember, I referred to the other team with no disrespect of being the number 2 trucks in the team. Now we're looking at the number 1 guys in each of these teams. RUNTE in the Ford. Buku horsepower. Motor sitting right beneath the driver behind him. Same scenario for the Dodge. The only difference, you're running a big Dodge Hemi and Fred Schaefer's truck, which is closest to the camera. Not a lot of love between these teams. Not any love between these teams. Again, corporate America's watching it. They've got one win for the Ford camp. Let's see what's going to happen here.
Look at the wheel! Look at that wheel stand Fred Schaefer put on the show. If you can't win Be Spectacular, Dan Ronnie won it, but boy, was Fred Schaefer spectacular, and look at the crowd.
Man, they are into it. Schaefer, that is just nothing but experience. A less experienced driver would have backed on the throttle and completely come over. Schaefer on the gas after the first jump, wheels it up, pulls the feet out of the water. Now he's on the throttle big time. He's got to keep it balanced, and that's exactly what he does for the second jump.
Yeah, he had to keep his foot in the throttle to keep that rear end churning and pulling, and oh, what a ride for Fred Schaefer.
Fred, experience had to pay off in that particular situation.
Yeah, right, Army. This new Dodge Ram's got a lot of power, as you can see there, and I said this time I'm going to put it to the floor. It's a real important race for us, and I didn't see anything but sky there, and went over the other end. You see what happened there. Still lost the race, but it had a lot of power.
I'll tell you what, I noticed, really, if you'd have backed on the throttle, you'd have probably gotten yourself in trouble.
Yeah, that's what happens, Army. You're right there. You need to stay in and keep that front end up and keep that thing going like that, because you could get in trouble there if you get out of it too much.
Well, here is a look now from the crush cam. Watch Fred Schaefer in barefoot. In fact, it looks like a huge grizzly walking right at you. What an impressive, spectacular ride for Fred Schaefer. But the victory went to Dan Runte. And here's Runte with Army.
Were you aware that he was taking a wild ride out there next to you?
Honestly, no. It's getting so close and so fast here, PENDA Point Series. It's just getting tough. You got to run your own race, basically race the light and just go down through there. No, they said he took a real wild ride, though. I mean, all the way down through there. Ford Bigfoot Firestone tires. We got her done again.
So it will be the Bigfoot teammates, Dan Runte and the HULKSTER with Eric Meagher coming up for the championship. We welcome you back to the Monsters and the Tough Trucks, but that's not the only competition we're enjoying here at the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds. Fans have been treated to some great motocross action Here is action from the first heat this evening.
Yeah, keep an eye on number 872. That's Jack Jones. He went down in the first corner. Radical Rod turned on the number 7 bike, really going in. There you go. So they were really pushing and shoving. The little Kawasaki rider has to work his way back up to the field. Now, they're running on exactly the same course that the Tough Trucks ran on. But as you can see, they like that big jump, Gary Lee, and they really seem to get the crowd involved in this thing.
Well, the crowd loves the air as Jack Jones getting back into things, moving through the pack. But Radical Ron was the hero of today in number 7. Boy, he really got the air. The fans love. Watch this.
You know, I don't think that they even realized that he was the leader of the race. He was just the guy getting the most air, and he was showing off and loving every minute of it. But the other riders impressed me, too. Got some good two-wheelers in this part of the country, Gary Lee.
Well, those same two would put on a great battle in the next heat. Turner would get around Jack Jones and go unchallenged the rest of the way. There is the pass right there.
Yeah, he made a move on him on the infield portion of the course, sets up for the big jump, and then airs it out, literally.
Radical Ronnie Turner won both motos, and the fans certainly enjoyed what they were seeing out there this evening.
That's one thing about these jamborees. There's all kind of motorsport action. If you like motorsports, they got something you're going to like to buy a ticket to see at one of these jamboree events.
Now, they also staged the jump-off. Now, watch this attempt by Ron Turner.
I could do that.
Yeah, I want to see you try that sometime, Army.
I could do that, too. I couldn't do that. Yeah, the crowd loves it. He's playing it to the hill.
Jack Jones, as we are now ready for the finals. Can that truck right there remain unbeaten? Bigfoot Dan Runte leads the PENDA Points Championship, goes up against his Bigfoot teammate, the Hulkster, Eric Meagher.
Meagher had quick qualifying time of the night. He has been beat by Dan before. They're good friends, they're good competitors, but keep the word competitor in mind. Meagher would love nothing better than to thump this blue truck in Missouri. You got to remember, these guys are in their own home state, so bragging rights is important here. World Championship Wrestling on one of them. On the other truck, the blue truck, you're going to see sponsors like you've never seen in racing before, like the name Microsoft. You see Firestone. You see Deflector Shield. All the major corporations getting involved in this sport because these guys can get you some exposure, and that's what it's all about. Right now, bragging rights, Gary Lee. You take the call for the final in Springfield.
Runte playing some head games with his teammate like he did with Pam Botters earlier. Didn't work, though. Who's going to take it? Oh, Big Blue. Bigfoot remains unbeaten. Dan Runte at a 4.93.
The big question now is, can this guy go a year without getting beat? Replay comes up on the screen. Both good drivers move first in the far lane.
But after the first jump, the Big Blue Bigfoot settles down right here. He applies the horsepower, gets it hooked up, launches off that second ramp, and takes the victory. So Dan Runte remains unbeaten, well atop the PENDA Points Championship. Here's your winner.
Well, as a crew, congratulations. We're going to have to call him the unstoppable Dan Runte. Man, this is an awesome. I don't think I've known anybody to go this far without getting beat.
We're doing great. Like I said, I got a great team. I can't say enough about Mac Tools behind us, Ford and Firestone, all those people. But like the guys I got here, I got to give them all the credit. Every time we needed a little more, Gary, Celine, he gave me a little more, and the Ford Bigfoot went out there and just did an awesome job tonight. Thanks.
Well, our congratulations as they start spraying. I'm not sure that's champagne. Oh, that's just a super shooter. Little water gun action down there. As we take a look at the current standings in the PENDA Points Championship, again, the gap widens between first and second. Barefoot's third, Rampage, and Pam Botters is still fifth in the Boogie van.
Let's take a look at the final run one more time from the crush cam. Better get ready to duck. It don't get any closer than this. Bigfoot thumping you right now in Springfield, Gary Lee. A great night of racing. The big question is anybody going to be able to catch this Big Blue Ford, even in a heat race? Much less take a win from him.
Well, we hope you enjoyed all of tonight's monster truck racing from Springfield, Missouri. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. Our congratulations to Dan Runte, Bob Chandler, and the Bigfoot crew. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power.